All right, so we've gone over what Node is, NPM, and Visual Studio Code. Now the rest of these steps have of course other technologies and things that can be confusing to you, like what's Express, MongoDB, Mongoose, what the heck is an HTTP request. If that's confusing, that's fine, we'll go over it. But I don't want to stop on all that now because I want to build as we go. And then as you come to this, then you should be asking those questions. You always want to go one step at a time. If you try to overwhelm yourself with everything in coding, your brain's just not gonna, it's not the best way to do it. You always want to break things down into small components. That's the most efficient way for you to build larger projects and for you to keep track of what's going on. And the same thing works when you start at the very beginning of any project. In fact, what I'd recommend that we do, these steps, these 9 steps can be essentially our map. This could be our map, our guideline. So I could open up text editor. I can make a new text edit, or you could open up whatever for notes. Here, let me make sure I copy this correctly. Text edit. I'm going to paste these steps in, 1 to 9. And I'm going to rename this Steps to Building Connect for App. All right. And I'm going to put this in my desktop so you can do the same thing. And this is something that we can come back to. Right? This is our 9 steps. Of course, it's always going to stay in our ChatGPT, but it's always good to be organized and then have a copy of it over here. And we can come back to this and then ask the according questions as we build, all right? Like I've worked on a lot of applications with Stack Overflow and Google, well, pretty much everything. I always find myself asking questions, trying to figure it out. But building something from scratch, especially, like, you're going to want to ask questions, right? And of course, you could have a team and you can run stuff by your team, but your team can't give you all the answers either. Like, you need to open your mind to what's going on, and things change. Libraries deprecate, technologies get better, technologies get worse. You have to be aware and alert, and you have to have that inquisitive mentality. So we're putting this down, and let's continue cracking forward. All right. So we want to set up our development environment by installing Node.js. All right. So that we should have done. All right. And we should have the code editor. So step 1's already complete. We only have 8 steps left. We want to create a new project directory and initialize a package JSON file using npm or yarn. So you can ask it, how do you create a new package directory and initialize a package JSON? I already know how to do this, but you go ahead and ask it if you want and see if I'm right. But what we're going to do is we're going to go back in our terminal. We're going to want to go into our desktop or wherever you want to be to create this package. Sorry, not the package, the project. Let me go ahead and clear this. So in the desktop, I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to do that with mkdir. Of course, you could ask ChatGPT how to do all this, but come on, just trust me. I'm also your instructor. ChatGPT is not the only instructor here. So I'm going to make a new folder with mkdir, and I'm going to call it full stack -app. All right. Now I'm going to go into full stack -app with the cd command. All right. Now from in here, I'm going to use npm because I have Node installed. And npm is going to download from the Node Package Manager library whatever I want it to do, or run codes, right? Basically, this is the command, and then what do you execute to the command that follows it. Terminal code is very basic. That's how it works. So npm, what do I want? I want to init, right? So I'm going to do npm init to initialize a new project. It's going to give us a package JSON file, which basically is a manifest file, as we're going to see. And a manifest file is just a basic description of how we set up an application, as you're going to see. And I'm going to use -y because it's going to save us time, and -y is for yes. So we're just going to say yes to everything and just set up this thing. So we're going to hit enter. And there we go. Look, we've got a whole project now. We see an object with the name full stack app. We have a version, description, main, index.js. We even get like an index.js. If I list what we have in the full stack app now, and let me just move this up so you can see, we see that we actually have package.json. ls is basically to just list what's in the directory that you're currently in. All right. Now, if I want to see this file, I can do code dot. This might not work for you if you didn't follow my instructions with Command-Shift-P. So otherwise, if you just want to open it, you should just go to this directory on your computer and just open this package. You don't want to open the package. You want to open the full folder, full stack app in Visual Studio Code. I'm going to do code space, and it's going to do that for me. And I'm going to show you what we have here. So we got this package JSON file, and I'm in this directory, full stack application that we just made. And from within here, this is our node package, right? This is our new project, right? And we did this with NPM. You could have done it with Yarn as well. We see the name, version, description. Very good. All right, so let's just stop here. And in the next video, let's actually set up the backend server. Because if we check in our text editor, we see that we need to install dependencies. We also see that we need to set up our Express server to handle requests. And if you were to ask it what's React, it's going to tell you that React is a client-side front-end framework, whereas Express is a backend. And MongoDB is backend, all right? So you could build it any way. You could build the front or the back. I want to build the back first because that way I can connect the front to the back when I'm teaching it, and then you can see it work in action, and it's going to make a lot more sense. You don't have to do it that way. You can do anything you want. It's your life. But me as an instructor, I have an obligation to try to be as clear as possible. So in the next lesson, what we're going to do is that. We're going to take a look at working on setting up the backend first and foremost, figure out what MongoDB is, and figuring out how to get an Express server to set up as well. All right, so I'll see you there whenever you're ready. Bye-bye. Okay, welcome back. So previously we set up this. So this is where you should be. Now, if you're confused about this, it's just an object that just gives you some key pair values. And these key pair values are basically the instructions for what this project should be doing and how it should work. So just some basic stuff like the name, the version. The script is basically, we can run scripts, like we can get the project to run certain types of scripts, and then we can run those scripts. Running a file, and this could be extremely powerful for building out servers or for getting frameworks to run, all right? We got keywords. If we wanted to add keywords, why not? Good for the SEO. We can put in the author. Look, I can even say, author is going to be me, so I'm going to say Clarion, and I can save that. Nothing's going to break. It's fine. You can put your name. And you want to keep it in that string format if you are going to do that, all right? Because this is a string, all right? You can't just say Clarion because this would then be a value of a data that doesn't understand what the heck it is, right? So, because it doesn't exist, okay? So that would break. So keep it in quotations. All right. So we said that we would focus on the back end before we work on the front end. Because remember, full stack has a back end and a front end. I mean, classic way to look at it. There's also serverless. You can put the two together, whatever. But classic way to look at it. All right, so we want to set up a back end server for a game app. So why don't we go back to our ChatGPT, our best friend. Let's ask it a question. And remember, we got these steps here saved on the side. So I'm going to say, ChatGPT, set up a backend server for a game app with Node.js, because that's what we're using Express. Now, you could have said, well, how do you know, Clarion, to say Node.js and Express? Why would you say Express? Well, because if you don't know what Express is, you should have asked ChatGPT, what is Express? What is MongoDB? All right, I can tell you right now, Express is a framework built on top of Node.js that makes it really easy to build a backend server. You want to get a port running, you want to set up routing, you want to have authentication, like sign in. Like, I know these things because I've built them over and over and over again. You may not know those things because you've never done it, but ChatGPT could tell you. Look, let me even we could say, what is Express and why is it important? And let's just say Express.js, all right? So what is Express and why is it important? ChatGPT, tell me why. Express.js is a popular web application for Node. A JavaScript runtime allows you to run JavaScript on the server side. It's lightweight, flexible. So yeah, listen, this is how Express likes to market itself. It's not wrong. It really is great. And if you were to ask, because we're using JavaScript, if you were to ask ChatGPT what's the best server-side frameworks for Node, Express is the most popular. It is the best. It is the best. But some of the key features of Express, you got routing, middleware. Middleware is amazing. Templating is fantastic. Templating is if you want to create like static engine, you want to make your own website, you could literally build a full application with templating engines and then run dynamic variables in the static code. If you don't know what that means, it's fine. But you could just build an entire app with just Express server-side and templating, middleware and routing. if you know what you're doing. So Express is important because it provides a simple, flexible way to build. Okay, let's set up a backend server for a game app with Node using Express. Let's see what ChatGPT is going to do. We're not even asking it how to do it. We're asking it to do it. So let's see what it does. Let's see what our friend Mr. Robot or Mrs. Robot does. All right, so it's giving us steps. First step, install Node.js. Check. Package manager. Check. Create a new project directory. Check. Install Express. All right, that's actually the next step. So install Express running the following command. Okay. Create a new file for your server, server.js. That would be the step after that, correct. Import the Express module and create an instance of an Express. Yes, correct. Set up your server to listen for incoming requests on a specific port. Constant port. So this is smart too because it's a little bit even more robust. We don't want to just say put the port on 3000. If we have a process environment port, that's how we should do it properly. So this is better practice to do this or 3000. App listen onto the port. Define your routes. A route is a specific path or URL. So very, very good. So then we're going to use these routing after we've done all these steps. This is fantastic. I mean, it's telling us even not only how to do it, it's also telling us how to set up our routing. The routing is we can actually get a response on the browser, right? And then we can test the server. If everything is set up correctly, your server should start and listen for incoming requests. True. All of this is really, really true. All right, so let's follow these steps. So the first thing is we want to install Express, right? Because we can talk about how wonderful Express is all we want, but if we don't install it, so we want to go back in the full stack application. We want to be in that root folder because this is where our package manager is, because our package manager is going to be listening, or our package JSON is going to be listening to the libraries that we're installing if there's a Node module. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of NPM. If you're a little bit confused, let me show you what I mean. So we want Express to install. In order to install packages on Node, you do npm I for install, Express for the name of the package we want. Enter. Easy peasy. Added 57 packages. Now, what happened? Let's go back to Visual Studio Code. Check this out. We added a new folder called Node Modules, and we have all these with 57 packages, right? And if you take a look, so, by the way, all these other packages just come when you do Node. But take a look at what we see here. Express, that's what we wanted. Take a look at our package JSON. Did something change? Dependencies. We now have Express, and we have the version of Express. All right? Beautiful. All right, so now we've got Express. Let's stop here. And in the next lesson, let's actually just build out the full server. Why not? Life is short. Let's get the port running and follow the rest of the steps necessary in order to do that. Okay, I'll see you there. Bye-bye. Okay, welcome back. All right, so we brought in Express. Very, very good. Let's go back to our chat. So we got other things we want to do. It's one thing to bring it in. We need to use it. So we need to create a new folder, or a new file, sorry, called server.js. All right, so let's go back into the terminal. And how do we create a new file? Well, all we have to do is say touch in the full stack directory, and we're going to call it server.js. Hit enter, and now when we check Visual Studio Code, we're going to see that we have this new empty file. It's a JS JavaScript file. All right, good. Let's see what we say next. We want constant express equals require, so I could literally copy this. This is going to bring in Express, and this is going to set up Express to run to the variable app, right? So we're going to create an app value that's really going to run Express for us, and then we can just use app, so then it's Express is being executed and we get access to all the beautiful things Express has, such as listen, such as get requests, post requests, all sorts of beautiful things. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so let's copy these and let's paste them in. All right, copy, paste, and then let's say thank you, ChatGPT. All right, let's set up your server to listen for incoming requests. So the port, so this would work. This would work. Now, what is happening here? Well, this is an anonymous function that needs to, basically you need to call the log if you want to do it. You just need to have the callback function for the log in order to execute it. The port is the port number. So you could copy this and get it to be working on a port. What I'm going to do is basically just write it out a little bit different, but it's the same thing. I'm going to say app.listen. We're going to set up a port. We'll say 3000. We're going to have our function call. All right. So this is ES6 is our function. If you're not sure, take my JavaScript course. Practice, practice, practice. It's important. It's going to make you even, like you think, oh, I got ChatGPT. I don't need to understand anything. No, you need to understand things. Okay. So console log. Server listening on port 3000. Would this work? Would this work? Well, if I go to the terminal, right? If I wanted to actually run the server to see if we can get the server to run on our computer, we call that local. We just do node to run the server command of server.js. So node's going to run node, and it's going to execute the file. Sorry, not server.js. So I hit enter. We see server listening on part 3000. It should say port. All right. Let's fix that error. I'm going to save. When you make mistakes on the server side, you have to rerun the terminal, unless you get node mod. We're not going to do that. So we're just going to rerun. So I'm going to close. I did Control X to get out twice. And now I'm going to rerun the node server, and now it's going to say server listening on port 3000. Fantastic. So now we're listening on port 3000. 3000. Now, if I were to open up Chrome or a browser, open up your browser. Let me just show you the URL endpoint. If I go to HTTP, so HTTP ://localhost:3000, we're going to get this message. It says cannot get. This is our localhost port 3000 where we are defaulting our server to be hosted. So it is there. Now we can't get it. Where did that go? We can't get it. Why can't we get it? Because we never created a way to get it, right? You need to have a way to get it. So that's why we're getting this error. So how do we create a way to get it? Well, if we go back to our ChatGPT, if you look, the next line of code actually shows you how to get it. App.get, request response. Request response and next are basically our three best friends for the arguments of our callback functions when we want to do requests and responses. I mean, that's what rec and res is, request and response. So all we have to do, we could just copy this code. This code's solid. And we'll go into Studio Code, and I'm going to make the get request above the listen. Now I'm going to go back to the terminal, and we're going to close our instance, or we're going to end our server. We're going to restart the server. And now when I go to the Chrome and I refresh, look at that. Did you just see what I just see? I know it's bad English, but I said that on purpose. Welcome to my game app. We've got a backend server running in like 5 lines of code with ChatGPT. Boom, bang, ba-bam, ba-boom, ba-bang, whatever you want to say. I don't know how to say it. And look, it tells you this is how you would do it. If everything's set up correctly, it is. Fantastic work. Congratulations. Hopefully you see the power in this. Pretty insane. All right, I'll stop right here. Let's stop right here together. In the next lesson, let's actually take a look at the next step, which would actually be what I think we should do is we need a database where we can actually store this, because right now we're just running it locally. It's our server. So we need to have the port of the backend up and running somewhere. That's going to be acting essentially as our proxy that interacts between the backend and the front end. I mean, that's the beauty of Express, right? Reverse proxy, forward proxy, however you want to do it, play with it, middleware, routing, requests. But we still want to have a database, right? Like, think about it. You're going to have usernames. You're going to have scores for the game. You're going to have people want to make payments. You want to keep track of whatever. That's got to be stored somewhere, maybe most likely on a warehouse in Amazon, unfortunately. It's easier, what people do. Or you can store it anywhere. You can store it on your own computers. You can store it, you've got Google Cloud systems. Let's take a look at how to build that together with ChatGPT in the next lesson. All right, I'll see you there. Bye-bye.